Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of Chip Off the Old Clark. With me today is the founder and owner of Ultimuts, Melissa Millett. Hopefully I said that correctly.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I was actually kind of curious, like I've seen you on social media and all your training videos and the cat that's in the screen we were just talking about before we started that is on Pet Cemetery. What made you want to get into this line of work?
It was mostly about the love of the actual training. Um, I enjoy communicating. I love animals, and I enjoy communicating with them. And from there, everything sort of happened by accident. But it boiled down to I love training the animals, and I love communicating with them.
Oh, yeah, because like I've had dogs and cats before, and they're trained, but they're not jumping rope with you or running through obstacle courses or anything else. How long does it normally take for one of your dogs or one of your cats to be able to do something like that?
It can take a good while. I mean, the actual teaching of the behaviors that can vary. I had a dad actually hire me to train his dog to skateboard for his kids, and we did that in 2 months. So the dog was consistently skateboarding in all sorts of environments. So it could be 2 months, and sometimes it can take about a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the flashiness and how much people like the tricks, it varies. Sometimes a trick that'll take a year won't be as loved as a trick that could take 2 months.
Hmm.
But overall, when it comes to actually working the animals in the various environments that I do, like the live show, the film set, to have a reliable dog, really about 4 years old is when a dog is going to peak. You can have a working dog at 2, but
Okay.
it's not an adult until it's 3. So it takes about 4 or 5 years is when your dog really comes out. So there's a significant time investment before you can walk out somewhere and just know that you're going to kill it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because obviously you see the finished product on Facebook, Instagram, the website, stuff like that, or even the movie set, and it's, well, I can't get my dog to sit long enough to give him a treat or whatever. Um, when it comes to the movie set, how tedious and how hard was that for the cat to be able to do all the stuff it needed to do in the movies?
So really interesting. We actually adopted those cats out of shelters, and we trained them in 2 months to be on to play the character.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, so that was, and then that basically what we do is we have a full-time 9 to 5 crew for myself and my business partner did training, and then we had a crew to train them to be comfortable with baths and makeup and grooming.
Oh,
And um, in that case, it's more about managing the environment as well. So we would do all the work to get the cat comfortable, and then my business partner, as the animal coordinator, would negotiate. We need to be on the set the night before,
mhm.
and we need everybody to be quiet when we come out. I mean, now at this time, Tonic has traveled to Canada with me performing. And
Okay.
so I could, when we went to a commercial, we would say, go about your business. We're just going to walk around. He's seen it all.
Hmm.
But in the early phases, we would manage the environment for success. And that's really what movies, the tricky thing about movies is it's simple behaviors in super complex environments
Okay.
multiple times.
Oh, yeah, because I guess they're gonna have to do different angles, different shots. If an actor messes up a line, even though the cat's perfect, you got to redo it all over again. And
Yeah, and they don't want to do it again and again. So how do we motivate them to understand that repetition? We actually walk around with a buffet inside a cooler and we change it up. Oh, you don't want to do it anymore. What about for chicken? Well, now I have salmon. We have to put the treats in order of preference so that we can coax them to do more, because you can't, you shouldn't force an animal to continuously work. You should find a way to make it motivating for them, but you really can't force a cat to work anyway if you wanted to.
oh,
You,
yeah,
you're
for
gonna have to put it in their best interest.
sure.
So yeah, so it was about the repetition, but then there's other tricky parts to it. There's things that you can't recreate. Sometimes the camera cranes, I mean, they are massive, 20 feet long, and they shoot towards the animal or they pull back, and the animal has to keep an eye line without looking over at all the weird things that are going on in order to get the
Mhm.
shot. And then the animal has to, and the boom is coming in, and the way that that film works is we place the animal there, everybody freeze, these people move and they do the set, cut, everybody starts moving. And it's a very strange, it's nothing like the real world, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of conditioning to that sort of activity so that the animal goes, okay, I understand this game and I'm going to remain focused on the task again and again and again.
Oh, nice. With cats, are they a little bit more difficult to train than a dog? Since, I've had cats growing up and you can throw a toy for them and they just look at you and go, you go get it.
Yeah, they're more difficult. I would say, but it comes easy to me. I feel like just I've been told that I'm very patient, personality trait, and I border collies was something that came to me later. So I started off with terriers and calmer style family pet dogs and teaching them how to be calm. So it sort of came to my style, and I think they can learn the behaviors if you make it fun and interesting easily enough. But the really tricky part is how do you get the cat to perform in a new environment? Because if you've ever taken your cat out of their home, they act like predators and they act like prey.
Yeah.
So they might, hide, refuse to come out, run off, redirect on you, or they won't eat because anytime there's any level of stress, they won't eat. And we need them to take the food in order to perform because they have to be reinforced and they have to be motivated to want to work. And so you have to figure out how can I introduce the animal to this environment in a way that they're not stressed.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, because stress also decreases cognition. So if you're stressed, you're thinking about personal safety. You're thinking about what's making you feel unsafe. And they're not able to perform as well as not having an appetite. So the most difficult part of the cat training is to acclimate to new environments.
Oh, okay. And then you were saying that Tonic's been with you performing across Canada. Do you take a bunch of the animals or is it just one or two at a time?
So we perform the ultimate show. So for that, right now, I have 8 dogs and 3 cats.
Okay.
So we would take all of them. And, even when they get older, we still take them on the adventures because they enjoy it. I had an older lab that we lost this summer. She was about 14 years old. She lived a really long and really happy life full of adventures. But we, got to a point where it was like, should I take this dog with me?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes there's misconceptions about performing animals because dogs were born and bred to have a job. But in this dog's case, or most dogs' case, they actually love to work. They love the purpose. So then you get the integrity or the actual is this ethical is when it comes to taking their job away. You have to find ways to make them still feel engaged. And it was this dog had traveled with us her whole life and she lived for this. And all of a sudden she's getting put aside and her whole family is leaving without her.
Yeah.
So after putting her with a friend on one of our adventures, I actually was like, you know what? I really want to find a way to make it comfortable for her to come with us. Yeah.
When it comes to the shows, are they, an hour long, 2 hours long? Because I know a couple of friends of mine, when I said I was going to have you on, actually had said, "Oh, I've heard about them, but I don't know how long the shows are. I've got young kids; they might not want to sit through it."
Yeah, half an hour. So, and it all depends on what your demographic is as well. If you were to go to a theater and it was a destination, you would expect a longer show.
Yeah.
And the shows that we do is family fairs, county fairs, and exhibitions, things like that. And that's where when you go to, let's say, New Brunswick exhibition is one of our favorites. We love the East Coast, and there's such great people. You pay your cover, and then you have a series of entertainment, and that's outlined for you for the day. So you can check out the dog show, check out the horse show, the magician. And so those shows are half an hour, and that's 20 minutes to half an hour is all you can keep people's attention for because there's rides and prizes, and your show had better be pretty good because it'll be hard to sit there the whole time with all the competing entertainment.
Oh yeah.
And we could probably, when I do a long-term care facility though, I like them to show because they're so patient. And I change the shows where I actually add a lot of stories.
Okay.
Because when you get older, you really get into listening to the stories. about it. You have different appreciation for things. The wow tricks are great.
Mhm.
But they like to hear, how did I, I include, how did I get into this? And who is this dog? Where did this dog come from? What's her personality? And and I think that's one of my favorite ways to do it, because when you look at the animal, you think, where did this dog come from? What's this dog's story?
Yeah, for sure. Like even some of the ones on Facebook that I've seen recently, like it's as you were saying, like, in my 30s now, it's I don't really care about the tricks. I don't care about the sparkle. It's more the intangibles and the what's the word I'm looking for? The backstory when it comes to movies or shows or entertainment wise or even sports. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this, because there's a lot of people that are coming into trying to figure out what they want to do with the rest of their life. And, they might not have thought about dog training, or they might not have thought about podcasting or whatever the case may be. And it's that makes your life go round, your career blossom like it has yours, and hopefully this one.
Yeah, it makes people feel happy, and it makes people, the arts, the arts, whether or not that be creative storytelling through a podcast or sharing your gift of communicating with animals, is fairly healing. It's amazing positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the reasons why, this summer with social distancing, people came to visit us, because you can feel when you come to the space, even my space that we're in, I hang all of our signs that we've ever had on our journey to success.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about that good energy.
Yeah, like it's as I said, like it's been up and about on Facebook for years that I've seen. And every time you do see a show, or you are recording one of the shows and posting it online, like you see the kids and you see even the adults that are there with their kids, they're grinning ear to ear and trying to figure out how that dog learned that trick or how that cat can do that. Where, as I said, like my animals can't do half the things that yours can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because too, when you look at myself as a personality trait, and I like to do a lot of things that are in the spotlight, but when you meet me outside of the spotlight, I'm very subdued and quiet and in the background, because maybe I lean towards shy. I'm not a spotlight attention seeker. There's nothing wrong with that, but I struggle with trying to perform that part of the show. And I want to build on that part, is that, hey, I want you to look at me. I want you to cheer for me, which I do, but that shyness, it becomes a battle. But for me, it's about, when I see that video and I see everybody's faces in the background, and they're, oh my gosh, or they're, wow, that is the part that I really love, is to make their day. But professionally, I spend a lot of time talking about how cute my dogs are and looking at them and watching them. We all enjoy my dog. And I just want to know, who doesn't want to do that with their dog?
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't want to show 5,000 photos?
Yeah, that's actually funny enough. My fiance and I are actually getting a puppy. A friend of hers has King Corso American Bulldog puppies, and my dog just passed away back in August and wanted a bigger dog. We have a Jack Russell pug, and great dog, but all she's going to do is nip at your ankles if you come through the door trying to steal something. So we decided to get it, and we don't actually have them yet, but it's the amount of time and the energy and just even some of the videos and the pictures that we've got from the current owners before we take over. You can already see the personality coming out. You can already see the spunk coming out, and how much of a pain he might be to train. And he's not going to be small, so it's got to be, the training's got to be right on point, which is probably the same thing with you with training.
Well, and that's interesting, is I do a lot of family pet training. And my dogs are amazingly behaved. I call them, they shoot back to me. I tell them to stay, they stay. But when you meet my dogs, they're going to leap all over you. Yeah. And I always laugh and I say, I just want you to know that with my personal dogs, I spend 95% of my time teaching them to leap into my arms, to leap off my body into the air. So when you meet my dogs, they're going to offer you that behavior.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's the same thing with mine that I had before. She was lab pit bull, and everybody would see her bark when you walked through the door, but nobody saw the tail wagging 100 miles an hour behind her. You
Yeah.
know, half the people were scared of her, half the people loved her, and all she was a big teddy bear.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, you know what, the genetics are really important in the dog for sure for that.
Mm-hmm. And talking about your shyness and that, is that really the only difficulty you had when you started up this career and founding, Ultimates?
Well, fortunately, I really came up to the show, to the public speaking slowly because I teach family pet.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 years back when I opened up my dog training school, I had 3 people in my classes, and my sister came to class with me for the year. If anybody that was in those classes, they probably didn't know this, but it was so that because I was nervous about speaking in front of even 3 people.
Oh, wow.
And my sister came as emotional support, and because it was fun, it was dog training. And so then I slowly got comfortable. My classes turned into 6, and then I started off with workshops, and that turned into 15 people. And then I started a TV show, hosting a TV show, and then, I started becoming I started being a guest on a TV show, then hosting, and then I started offering seminars at events, and slowly it worked its way up. But certainly for the first part of the show, I remember that my friends would say to me, "Slow down, take your time, you're freaking out there," And it's been 8 years that I've been doing the show, so I've gotten comfortable with that,
Mm-hmm.
unless I'm in a new environment. And I think the other challenge is I love the show so much that I don't look at the other challenges too much as challenges because the positive outweighs it. But certainly there's a significant amount of work. It's a lifestyle for people who are not afraid of hard work. That's for sure.
Oh.
Snickers.
Yeah, with that, like with the family dog training, what would be the difference between your dog training and your company and then going to PetSmart or going to some of these other places that are around London and even Ontario?
There's a lot of, they say that 10,000 hours is what it takes to be an expert.
Mm-hmm.
It really takes a lot. And if you train your dog, it boils down to the little details to find success. So if you're going to look for somewhere to go, biggest thing is I want you to look at somebody's dog,
mm-hmm.
see what their dogs can do. And if somebody is operating on the level that I'm operating, where people say they pay me to see what my dogs can do. Or when I did Pet Cemetery, my business partner asked me to join him as a business partner because he said, that he had never worked with somebody that could train so well. Mm-hmm. And so that means I wrote the program, and I have other trainers that work for me and they apprentice with me. So those little details make all the difference in the world. Like, for example, if you're teaching your dog to stay, most people will do stay, 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 come. Mm-hmm. So let's look at that. When you ask your dog to stay and you call your dog to come and feed them, what are you actually feeding? You're actually feeding the breaking of the stay, not the stay. So the subtlety of returning to your dog, feeding in position and releasing it at that position makes all the difference in the world because you're reinforcing the stay, not reinforcing the break of the stay. Mm-hmm. So just that tiny difference in how you manage your dog makes all the difference in the results that you get. So when you come to someone like myself, as opposed to a big box store, mm-hmm. you don't know what you're going to get at a big box store. Right? So we have hundreds of little secrets like that have been imparted that are part of our program because we've seen it through. Yeah. But at a big box store, they have a 2-week training program before you start teaching. Mm-hmm. So you might get somebody who took that 2-week training that has experience that took that program to relay that, or you might get somebody who only had that 2-week training program.
That they just wanted the 2-week training program to get an extra 50 cents an hour to make a little bit more money as opposed to actually wanting to help the dogs and the owners.
Yeah. I bet you a lot of them want to help the dogs and the owners, but they might not have enough experience to back it up to know those little details. Mm-hmm. The more you know how much you don't know. So you know which dogs you're good at, which ones you shouldn't work with. Because sometimes I think for me, dog trainers, they should start on obedience for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes dog trainers that are new, they do obedience and reactivity.
Oh, okay.
Dog aggression reactivity is something that you shouldn't touch until you have years and years under your belt.
Okay. Yeah, the speaking of the 10,000 hours, and the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know. It's the same thing with podcasting. When I started this, the Joe Rogans and the Andrew Schultzes and all the different real popular ones, it just looks like a conversation. But when you actually get into it and go, oh well, I've got to edit this. Oh well, I've got to find guests. Oh well, I've got to do this. Oh, this isn't near as easy as they make it out to seem, and it makes it, obviously the challenge for some people will make them want to turn and run away, but like no different than in your situation where you had the problem with public speaking. It's the challenge caused you to rise up further than it would have somebody else, because you want to help the dogs and you want to help the people.
Yeah, it's about the entire experience,
With that, how many dogs now do you train in a family session? Like, do you just do the seminars now, or do you do one-on-ones, small groups, big groups?
So our dog training school, it depends on what time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So we have one trainer for every day of the week, and I take one of the days. So what we were offering pre-pandemic was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Okay.
And so, of course, the hours are reduced, but everybody takes a day, and then I take a day, and then I do all the behavior cases.
Okay.
So that the more difficult the specialties. And then in the summertime, I'll tour with the Ultimates, and and then I work in the movie industry throughout the week. So it's pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
I like all of those things. I haven't, figured out where to find balance. But yeah, so like even before the shutdown, we're working on Titans, which is on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a DC Universe Warner Brothers series about the Teen Titans. So it would be Superboy, Beast Boy, Starfire, Dove, Hank, and all those characters. And I'm training Crypto the super dog. So I have one of the dogs that play Crypto.
Okay.
And so that would be a 9 to 5 job. And then I would do, and then so when these big series come up, I stopped teaching the dog training.
Mm-hmm.
And, but anyway, everybody that came to my classes all summer rotated to take class with Crypto and church. So I think it was a fun way you could catch a photo with your puppy. Mm-hmm. Snickers, let's go, bud. Of a naughty cat dog. Let's go.
With that, where was that show being filmed?
Toronto. There's actually a lot being filmed in Toronto. It's cheaper than the States.
Okay.
So Toronto, Montreal, and Winnipeg, and Vancouver, and Calgary are the big hubs for movies in Canada.
Yeah, because I know I lived up in Toronto for a little bit, and you'd see movie sets here and there, but it wasn't as, I don't know whether it's because of Netflix or Amazon Prime, like the Prime Video and Crave and everything else, where there's more filming now than there was ever before with the big, movie studios and that. And I'm assuming a lot of it was done in the States with Fox and Sony and all those. But so the 9 to 5 movie set kind of deals, is that for Crypto or any of the other animals or Tonic in Pet Cemetery, is that the full 8 every single day, or is it just a day here, a day there?
So the 9 to 5 would be the prep training. So we do the prep training here, and that would be 8 hours a day of straight training, because you can't train a dog for more than that. Usually you have to break it down into sessions and give everybody a turn and a break in between. Okay. So then we would do that. But when we actually go to set, so last year we did 3 weeks, 9 to 5 on Titans. And then we were on set most of the time for the first series, for maybe 2 months episode. And then we were once or twice a week, 3 times a week after.
Oh, okay.
Prep in between. So the prep would be, 9 to 5. The actual shooting, 16, 17 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's largely, so now I I travel to Toronto, so that's 2.5 hours each direction. So that's 5 hours. And we're on set for 12.
Oh, wow.
Now the animal's not working the whole time.
Mhm.
It's hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
So the dog, but the humans are, so the dogs rest, and then they go. Last year we were doing 16 and 19s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's only for those who aren't afraid of hard work. That's for sure.
Oh, for sure. With the studio work and going up to Toronto and working, do the animals during the prep work, are they in with the actors, or is it more just working specifically with you or your business partner or some of the other trainers prepping for those shows?
So I would be the key trainer.
Mhm.
So I would be the one that oversees all the training programs, um, and decides which partners and when.
Mhm.
So I do key trainer, and then I have assistant trainers who are extremely talented individuals that I've searched out that are great to work with and extremely talented. And so I would be at every session if possible, unless I'm off with the ultimates. And then the key trainers or the assistant trainers, they're rotated so that the dogs get used to them and they understand how the dogs work. Just in case, I couldn't come for a day, there was somebody to jump in.
Mhm.
And then we actually have acclimation actors. So
Okay.
acclimation actors is a person who stands in, because the dog isn't not going to be performing for me. They're going to be performing with the actor. So
Mhm.
when I'm working with my dog, I teach the behavior on myself, and then I say, now you're going to perform with that guy, but you're not going to look at me, you
Mhm.
know. And so we would have the acclimation actors, and then I hire high school students. They come in and they dress up in superhero costumes, and one day and they're being all the other actors, or the next day I've given them all fake cameras and they're pretending to be the crew, and I'm literally going action, and everybody's moving in, and we're showcasing that real weird world that it's going to be of stopping and starting, freezing. This world goes and then stops. This world begins. Well,
Yeah.
that world stops, and then when we're done all of that, we get time with the actor, and we're going to show the actor what it is that we've been, here's how you handle the dog,
Mhm.
and the dog gets it. Oh, this is my guy.
Yeah.
When I worked on Pepsi, is my crypto dog's name. We worked on him all summer. We worked on him from September until December with that process. So
Okay.
then we shut down for a month for Christmas. I brought him to dog training class, and he comes to dog training class and he goes, which is my guy? Who am I with? And he wasn't looking at me because he was like, okay, we're in a new environment. I'm obviously, not looking at you. You're going to hand me to somebody, which is just really funny to see.
Yeah, I was always worried because, like you meet a dog or, when it comes to, they have that intuitive feeling whether that person's a good person, a bad person, better than most people, that, an actor would come around and, he's kind of dickish or he's a bit of an asshole and the dog just doesn't mesh.
For sure. And we're at the mercy of the actor,
Mhm.
where the actor, we have to trust that the actor is going to care about our dogs and
Mhm.
not go into character and forget. As far as Titans is concerned, this actor that we work with, we adore this guy. Our full team, we say crypto team, we love. His name's Josh,
Okay.
and he works as Superboy.
Mhm.
And I had a new assistant trainer come, and she was assisting me on the set this year. And she watched Josh work with the dogs, and she's like, "Oh my god!" Because when it's done, he says, they'll say, "Okay, we're gonna have some smoke," and I'll be like, "Is that okay for the dog?" Or we'll be working the dog, and we'll do, and he's like, "Is the dog getting tired?" And it's just, he has more power than we do, and
Yeah.
his voice matters,
Mhm.
and it's just, for me, I'm handing you my dog that I love. I do this because I love it, and I love this dog. And it's important to me that the dog has a good time.
Yeah.
It finds it fun. And it's important to me that my dog isn't stressed. So when I'm trusting you when I'm handing over my dog. So for me to work with somebody who cares, or all of our team,
Mhm.
we're super excited about that.
Yeah, it's always nice to hear stuff like that where, it might not be their dog, but they care about it just like it is your own, and they're taking those steps to make sure. Because of course, the dog or the cat doesn't have a voice, and it's nice to see that people actually still do care about animals the way you do and the way others do to make sure that they are safe on a set. Because I can only assume, I've never been on one, that they're pretty hectic, they're pretty busy, they're pretty stressful. That the cat or the dog or whatever animal it is on set, like chimpanzees, bears, you name it, that they're taken care of and they're safe.
For sure. Yeah. So when we work on a set too, there's multiple processes to ensure that the animal's taken care of and safe. There's every single set that we only work on larger projects.
Okay.
So every single set that we work on, the American Humane Association has an advocate there.
Mm-hmm.
And that works out really well too, because then we don't have to be the bad guys. And I'm not afraid of being the bad guy for my dog, but it puts me in a better position where there's something that I don't like, and I can look at the AHA rep and say, look, I don't want my dog to see that. I want, when there's going to be a fight scene, my dog's there. Yeah. And they usually work with you, but you can have this added protection. I want you to make sure that the dog gets stationed off to the side of the room so that we can cut this way and not see the dog. I don't want the dog to see this or be in on that. So I just need you to make sure that you're party to that conversation. That's the conversation I'm going to have, and you back me up.
Yeah.
Or I think the dog's not going to be able to do this too many times, or I don't want the dog to hear that sound or whatever it is. They speak up. You speak up for the animals, but they're not going to get that stamp of improvement, so they really respond to them. So there's that. But the other things that I wouldn't want to work just as a trainer without an animal coordinator. And I look at my business partner who's been doing this for 30 years in and out. He knows the set, he knows the camera angles, the shots, the ways that we can cheat it, to protect the dog. And I always look at him and say, I would not do this without you. And he has a million meetings leading up to the shot so that we know every angle and that they know every angle. We're not going to surprise them and say, I don't want that's going to be too much for the dog.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes we will. if you surprise us, we might surprise you. But we can give you every idea to ensure that that we know what to expect. And we prep for it. I mean, we did a scene where my dog had, what is his name? Sam Worthington from Avatar.
Okay.
Yeah, like we were working with him. And he was screaming at my dog and throwing things at him. And I knew it was coming. So I had him face me and I whipped things at him and gave him treats for it. And then I turned around and I whipped things at him and gave him treats for it. And then I had strangers come in and do it so that it became a game where you get treats. And guess what? He's deaf, so he couldn't hear the screaming. So, if you wanted to scream at my dog and throw things at him on the day, I'd say, no way, man. But this was just something that I trained him for that he expected.
Yeah. And then with that too, like I'm assuming with your business partner going into the millions of meetings, that goes into what you were saying earlier about, the high school students and doing the scenes and the angles and everything from top to bottom that the dog or the cat's going to be getting acclimated to, so that when it does happen, it's not a surprise for them either.
Yeah, we say the only surprise should be the different environment. All of the elements should be prepped. And the only surprise is that it is a different environment. And in this case, there's going to be things that we just can't recreate. But we do it to the best of our ability. And then we have 3 dogs to choose from for 3 different temperaments. And we had one dog that is super confident, or he was bench warmer last year, and we had a different dog. This year, he's just like, no, I want to do it. No, I get it. I get this is the game, and he wants to do everything. But he was doing the scene, and he looked over, and somebody was trying to hide from him behind a parking sign so they didn't distract him, but it looked weird. He's like, what is that? So we pulled him, and we used a different dog, right?
Yeah.
They're animals. They're going to get weirded out by things. You can't always predict it, but that's why you have backups.
And then with the movies and even the shows, are they just like people where they've got those off days?
Yeah, for sure. But what's interesting though is, so let's say Pepsi or Tonic have been my 2 dog animals that are mine that have done long-term features, right? They really enjoy. They start to feel like they're more special than everybody else, right? Like they want to work. They're no different than us. Where all of a sudden we're stuck on the couch, and we're like we want to get out and do things. So in the case of Pepsi, I bring him inside the shop here, and he gets to work 9 to 5.
Mhm.
None of my other dogs do, but they want to. And so he gets to do that from September until January. And I can, and then he gets taken on the adventures. And don't get me wrong, I train my other dogs, but they want that level of stimulation. They would be happy to have that. And he starts looking at me like, oh, it's me. I'm here. You're gonna cuddle me. You're gonna make space for me. Oh, are we doing it today? And he starts thinking he's more special than everybody else. I can see it in his eyes.
Almost the same thing as you hear about those actors that are making $20 million a film, as opposed to the extra that sits there, go, okay, I'm here, we can start now.
Yeah, because you know what? Like we make sure he's walked and played with all the time. Like we have a whole team just for this dog to make sure he's walked and played with, because how can we ask him to sit still for so long if we haven't burned his energy and met all his needs? We have to make sure that my one dog, Pepsi, is a pandemic puppy. He's a year and a half. So most of his life has been a pandemic, and he doesn't understand being approached by people. So all of a sudden, we take him out in the world and people don't approach him. Then I take him to set, and the actors are going to approach him. So then he gets to go around and meet every actor, and everybody gives him cookies so that he needs that, right? And so he really gets a whole bubble. Like every time he sneezes, he goes to the vet, right? So I can see it. It creates this Hollywood mentality of I'm special, even in the animals.
Yeah, and then when it comes to after a movie's done, is there even like a lull for them that they're not getting all that extra attention too?
There is, yeah. Sadly, there is. Even for right now, for all the show dogs, there's when somebody comes over and I'm going to show you some tricks, I'm going to just give me 5 minutes to calm the dog down. The dog hasn't been able to feel that energy or perform for a while. So they get really excited, They're not saying it's good because they're so jazzed. But yeah, I mean, tonic specifically, we leash walk these cats 3 times a day for the same reason. If we're not meeting his needs and then we're taking him to a set, well, he's socialized properly. He's going to be really excited. It's going to take him a long time to settle down.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to bring him to a movie set where he goes, oh yeah, no, I'm out again. Cool. I've been out all day. So, or not all day. I don't want to burn their energy, but I've been out enough that this is so new that I'm not concerned or excited. And he wanted that level of stimulation after. And he literally broke my flat screen TV, leaping through the house, following me, and he leapt on it, trying to get my attention, and rode it to the ground.
Oh,
and I was like, well, you did buy that TV for me. So.
Yeah, I guess you can't complain that much.
You're not gonna be mad.
When it comes to like your animals now, and you had said about your lab that was getting older, and you still took it on the adventures, but it wasn't performing as much or at all. How long do the dogs or the cats actually last when it comes to the performing?
Well, I allowed the dog to perform for a long time, and there was mostly positive with that, where she wanted to get out there. She was barking in the back, and she was where's my turn? So we gave my lab a simple behavior. Her eyes weren't working as well, so she couldn't do her tricks, and her body wasn't working as well. So we had a basketball slam dunk contest, and we would ask, we would put Sophia. Everybody would compete against each other. And we would have Sophia slam dunk the ball to compete with the others. Okay. And I think a lot of people recognize that this was an old dog that was still getting to be part, and they always picked her as the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that didn't, sometimes people say, is that dog okay? And think maybe we weren't taking care of her. And I'm like, no, that dog's just 200 years old. But once one of the last times, her legs gave out.
Oh, no.
And she couldn't get up. And we were like, oh my God, like the kids were like, Mommy, is that dog okay? And I had to come out there and kind of lift her up and help her carry her off. And I was like, anyway, moving on, and the kids were like, Mommy, is that dog okay? And that was one of the last times we had to perform. which was sad for her. You know, it was like, it's just, yeah, I think maybe if we were like a big conglomeration, we wouldn't do that. But being a small show, it's a small family show. I like it that way. I like the small shows. I like the county fairs and the positive energy. I was able to choose to do that.
Yeah.
But on one of her last days that she filmed a commercial, because she's done a lot of TV and she's always really loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing a commercial about rescued dogs, and they wanted a variation. They wanted small, large, old, young.
Yep.
And we brought her to the commercial, and one of the actors was afraid of dogs, which is fun. You know, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is you just say yes, 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 and you show up. So we put Sophia lying down beside a table where she was selling things, and she sat there grinning ear to ear to finally be part. It was beautiful. And the clients that own the company that were watching, they came out from the back and they said, we want to pull that lab up to the front.
Oh, wow.
Which is something they don't normally do. And I thought, like they looked at her and they noticed how special she was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we always called her Mother Teresa, you know, that old sweet lab. She was just a beautiful, the best dog I've ever seen and ever will.
Mm-hmm.
So they pulled her to the front and she was just grinning and beautiful. And they wanted to do a scene where the lady was romping with the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and the little dog had enough. Well, Sophia had a sudden burst of energy and she was leaping through the air with this lady. And it was just, it made you want to giggle and cry at the same time. It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was just a dog that finally got a chance again. You know, I'm not too old. I want to be part of it. It was beautiful.
That was the same as mine. I was at work the one night and fiance had called me hysterically because our little dog had went out to go to the washroom, and apparently a skunk got out underneath the fence, and the skunk had it cornered, and my dog, 13 years old, you know, same as Sophia, where she wasn't moving as well as she used to, took off like a shot, grabbed a hold of the skunk. That was the end of the skunk. And from that point on, the two dogs were inseparable.
Wow.
If my dog Amber was, you know, laying there curled up and didn't really want to move, the fiance's dog would sit there and curl up with her and just protect her. You go close to her when she didn't want to be touched, the little one would be sitting there protecting her. And it was just, anytime the two of them got together, even outside with her age, you could see, like you were saying with Sophia, that burst of energy where it was, all right, I'm still 2, I'm still 3. Let's have some fun. And then, okay, no, I'm 13, I'm 14. We're going to relax.
I'm starting to feel it now.
Yeah. And then with Sophia and with some of the older dogs, are they still with you all the way up to the end? Do you do like you said, you have a sister. Do they go with your sister? Do you move them around at all, or do they stay with you right till the end?
They stay with me right till the end, unless something happens where they don't like the work and they don't like the life.
Okay.
Which I think can happen to anybody, but this is the lifestyle that we have, and you know, if the dog isn't happy with the lifestyle, then we rehome them elsewhere. So that happened to me one time about 10 years ago. I had a shepherd. He was not a social dog. And I gave him to my next door neighbor, which was an easy shift for him because she borrowed him, walked him all the time, fell in love with him, and ended up with a fully trained. And then, you know, there was another border collie that I had that wanted to fight the other dogs.
Oh, okay.
You know, and you can modify it where you don't really see it, but it'll come out sometimes, and that'll be stressful for the other animals, which is better. You know, there is a misconception that you shouldn't ever rehome your dog, and I don't believe that. As a family pet dog trainer, you know, dogs grow up and they find to be life with children too much. So you find, you know, you're just finding them the right homes. So I have 8 dogs now. So that's happened twice. But my older dog, I have an older Boston Terrier now. Okay. And we're doing, you know, we're in that awkward phase where I don't even get rid of them if they have a health issue. So I have one dog that's had both her knees, luxating patellas on both knees, right? So how, you know, is her potential to do all stunts and everything there? No. So I modified the tricks for her where she is able to ride a skateboard again, but she's not going to be leaping and twisting, you know?
Yeah.
But I keep her and I teach different tricks for her. Then she has different skill sets than the athletes. But my other Boston, she had a curve in her spine,
Okay.
which, as I say, had stopped her from being able to do a lot of the things. Like she was never a leaper and a fast turner. Like
Mhm.
that would hurt her. So she got chiro. That's where we're at with my we're like, she is suffering, but the acupuncture is helping. So
Okay.
hopefully, yeah. But I mean, I would still have her in the show as long as she wanted to, though. I couldn't come back and look her in the face
Mhm.
and give everybody a turn, but that one dog, because the the senior citizen, it only happens to one dog at a time. So I mean, even if I just dance in pre-show, right?
Mhm.
Because they're looking at me saying, I'm ready to go all the way to the end. They light up every time they're asked to work. So,
And it's probably the same thing. Like I know my grandfather's getting older and he's in his 80s, and I know a lot of the times we get in shit from him because we tell him, "Oh, you can't cut the grass anymore. Oh, you can't do this," and it's probably the same thing for the dogs. Going, "Well, what do you mean? I've always done this. I can't just all of a sudden stop."
yeah, for sure. No, that doesn't normally happen around here. Actually, I've got the Rogers Ignite and all that because I do Zoom classes. So
Hmm.
maybe working around here.
Maybe it's just a surge because it's a Sunday and everybody's at home every day right now. But
Well, there's only 300 people in this town, so
oh,
maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
When it comes to, like, we were talking about the older animals and everything else, when do you normally, pick that next puppy or that next animal? At what age do you start training them?
Right away. When Pickles was 4 months old, she was featured on the Family Channel,
Okay.
performing alongside my daughter who was 6. She was showcasing tricks. And when she was 1.5, we were live in Times Square on Good Morning America competing in the Paralympics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As I say, you don't have a really super solid dog until they're about 4, but yeah, there are special dogs that perform early. And then Pepsi, he's working at a year and a half, and I adopted him in March just for the show,
Oh, wow.
from the jury. Yeah. So, but I mean, I got him out there doing something. I had a puppy last year, border collie puppy, and we used him in the pre.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
If that does it one more time, I'll reset it. So you don't have an editing nightmare.
That's okay. I've gotten used to it now at this point when it comes to different ones. I started off doing this with just cell phones, really. And it's, one time a cell phone will sit there and, oh, too full. This one, oh, doesn't want to work. Oh, it hit pause by accident. So it's, just the same as you dealing with the dogs, not wanting to perform that day. It's okay. Well, time to improvise, time to figure out the next way to figure this out. And Zoom calls is just another way to add to the repertoire, I guess I could say.
Yeah, totally.
When it comes to your shows, are you still doing them like now?
No, sadly, right now we're still doing movies, commercials, and failing pet training.
Okay.
As for the live shows, we're not able to do that, and I'm worried, that next year is going to be the same.
Hmm.
Or there might be a few next year, but I don't really see a big season, and it's sad for all of us because it's what we live for, myself and the dogs.
Hmm.
It's hard to recreate the adventures that they get. And it's, like I say, I do have dogs that are performing at 1.5, but I have dogs that are 5 years old, and that's the prime,
Yeah.
and that's when I finally, like, they're an adult, they're middle aged, they make good decisions, they're completely reliable, and those are our best years where we can come out and knock it out of the park and know we're knocking it out of the park. And
Hmm.
we worked for 5 years to get to this point. Now we can't enjoy them in their best days. That kind of sucks. But yeah, it's. I choose to be grateful. I wouldn't normally be home, and I live in an amazing town.
Mm-hmm.
But for everybody out there that has performance dogs like I do, which is a very small percentage of the population, it's not a very popular career. I'm sure it would be if people knew how to navigate it. We actually have to keep our dogs fresh. These are athletes.
Yeah.
These aren't, pets. And I have dogs that can do a walking handstand, like you say, jump rope.
Mm-hmm.
And if I want them to be able to do that next year, they need to practice. So I still have to work as hard as I would without that revenue source.
There we go.
Good. All right, I'll move us up to the other spot.
Okay.
There's 2 internets. That's a booster.
Oh.
Anyway, it's white as heck, but this is their running space.
Oh, wow. That is a lot of space.
Oh, they got a lot of space. I'm just going to leave him out there. This is what happens the second you walk in. Just, oh, hi. I'm on your shoulder now. Okay, how's this? Is this better? Oh, yeah, it's full internet. So something's with the booster now, too.
Yeah, I was having the same problem with mine at my house, too, so.
Maybe it's people doing too much.
No,
anyway.
Well, after the technical difficulties, we got ourselves set back up again.
It was just creating variation, variation in environment, and for those who are visual, the variation of a look, variation in animal.
And you said you had 3 cats?
Yeah, so I'm becoming the crazy cat lady. I'm getting notoriety from training cats. That's my new kid. This is my original star. Isn't she beautiful? It's a Bengal cat.
Yep.
Yeah. They have really beautiful coats. They look like mini leopards. And it's really cool because there's something cool. And I'm the one that is sort of becoming one of the leaders in cat training because of Pet Cemetery and because I have performing cats in my show.
Oh, wow. Now, is there many cat trainers around London?
None that I know of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I did worldwide cat classes during the first shutdown. So we did as far as Australia and Germany, all over the US. And then now I'm doing something called Clicker Expo.
Okay.
And it's, look at the little cat fight. Clicker Expo is like the largest educational platform where trainers go to learn. Okay. So I'm really excited about that. I mean, Ken Ramirez called me, and he's really, really I think you could say well respected. But when I told my friends that he called me, they said, "You're talking to God, you realize," So, definitely well respected. And he is the director of the programs. Okay. So Clicker Expo is going to be really, really big opportunity, and I'm presenting on cats, acclimation, and tricks. So, yeah. I hope it gets me an opportunity to travel to cool places in the world to talk about cats, but not too much. I like traveling with all my animals and doing my show.
And then with your shows and that, is there really, with the pandemic, you were saying you do more of the county fairs and that sort of thing. Is there been any real talk from any of your previous county fairs about what's kind of coming down the pipe?
Not yet, nothing. A lot of times is now when we would start to do the pitches. I haven't heard anything. I think everybody's kind of frozen, and I'm I'm trying to navigate this pandemic as well. I mean, I'm going to reach out and have conversations. I have contracts that have been pushed over from last year. And then, now's about the time though that we're going to have these conversations and say, so are we going to create a contract that is void of deposit so that they can step out? Because I mean, I would be very hesitant to put a deposit down. That's normally what you would do to hold an entertainer. So we're like, what does this look like in the new world? I'm hoping we can do some small social distancing shows but I'm not holding my breath, and whatever's best for the greater good, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a friend who's gotten really sick from COVID, um, and I believe it's real, and I think it's scary, and I wouldn't want to be party to anybody catching it. So if we have to shut down for another year, I'll just accept that and look at it positively, where my 2022 show is going to be banging because of all these shutdowns.
Well, all the shutdowns and all the extra training that the animals get too, right?
Yeah, it's going to be amazing, and not. It's going to be amazing because of the extra training opportunities. It's going to be not amazing because the animals are going to be so excited to get back to work. Their heads are going to explode, and then it's going to take them forever. I'll be like, just give them 10 minutes to calm down, and then they can finally perform the trick, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, and with this COVID thing too, like as you were saying, like I'm not worried about getting it myself. Like my immune system's high enough, everything else, but I'm always afraid of giving it to someone else.
Mm.
It is real. It is damaging to every walk of life, whether it's you with your training and your shows, or me with the podcasting. Like as I said, like the first couple of shows, like this is I think 11 or 12 now. They were all in person, and it's just another learning experience and another one to move into Zoom and move into the next chapter. Hopefully, when we do get back to normal, maybe I can have you in person and you can help me train the dog, or
Yeah. Yeah, it's always more exciting in person, for sure. And there's the in terms of Clicker Expo, when it comes up, I'm going to be thinking there's going to be an element of stress. What happens if my internet fails?
Mhm.
Which it hasn't until now, right? So for sure, the in person is way cooler.
Oh, for sure. And then obviously, when it comes to the cats with the Clicker Expo, or even, if you were to go on to do virtual shows, it's not the same where, I'd love to see the cat climb up on that scratching post right behind you, but it's still cool on video, but it's not the same feel when it's in person.
Oh yeah, well, always to even meet the animals, and
Mhm.
and then everywhere we go, we always do a few tricks too, because it even if you can't see, we've done tricks on radio before, where then people are like, okay, I got to sign on to Facebook so I can have a look at this, and what that really was, and the energy. When you walk in somewhere, the energy is always high. It's, oh, the animals are here, and yeah, I'm gonna miss that big time. But I mean, there's something that goes around with the animals, in terms of being, as somebody who has 8 dogs.
Mhm.
I have 8 dogs. So let's say, a young, healthy person like us gets COVID. Who's gonna care for my dogs,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I mean, I found somebody to care for everybody, because I think we're all doing that, just to be careful. I found somebody to take care of everybody except Snickers. He's the Ferrari. Nobody wants him.
Well, I've said before, and as we were just talking, like hopefully this isn't the new normal. We can get back to the quote unquote old normal. But if we do get back to the old normal, hopefully we can get a bunch of people watch this episode or listen to the episode on all the different platforms.
Somebody's screaming. Let me see what's going on with
Yep.
that. Oh, okay. That was just a neighbor coming by. I didn't know if he hurt himself on a stick or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
and I'm like, uh-oh, my show dog.
but yeah,
Sorry, what'd you
hopefully
say?
having people get back to the new normal or the old normal and be able to get out to watch your shows after watching this or listening to this on all the different platforms would be beneficial. But if not, why don't you tell everybody again how they can see you, reach you, whether it's for the performance or even the dog training or family
Yeah,
training?
so our dog training is called In Dogs We Trust. So that would be indogswetrust.ca. And then, of course, we're on Facebook. And the Ultimates is where you find us on the social media. We're posting a lot of videos on tricks and fun things for visual entertainment. See the cats work and the dogs work. Recently, I'm teaching tonic aka church, to ride a scooter, so you sort of follow that journey. And then if you want to check out the animal actors, that would be Ontario Animal Actors on Instagram and Facebook, ontarioanimalactors.ca. And you can see what the dogs are up to.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been able to spot them on commercials and let me know when they see them as well. So that's really cool to kind of follow the dogs as celebrities, I think.
Nice. Well, I would
Yeah.
like to thank you for coming on the show, even though it was on Zoom. But and hopefully this helps you work through the pandemic and maybe even get some extra eyeballs out towards you. So it was great to have you on, and hopefully we can have you on again sometime.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Maybe next time in person, but it's a lot of fun. Here's my opportunity to talk about my dogs again.
Oh,
So
exactly.
thank you for filling that for me during the pandemic.
All right. Well, everybody, it's another episode of Chip Off the Old Clark. I want everybody to stay opinionated and stay safe. Thanks.